Y'all, I'm so excited to be here today. I have some big things that I want to talk about. But mostly I just want to share this stuff with you guys and kind of connect the dots. I'm also going to pat myself on the back a little bit on this one because this was my first big aha moment where I felt like I was doing something right, and it came from the mouth of John Collins Black himself. So that's what we're going to talk about first. Has to do with the Forrest Fenn box, the American Treasure podcast, and the Treasures Galore YouTube. I'm also going to reveal a big clue that I stumbled upon last night that has to do with the Forrest Fenn poem. I haven't seen this talked about before, but I'm really excited to let you guys know. So just hang in there and we're going to solve this puzzle piece by piece. And I think that this clue is going to help big time. So just listen to the whole thing. You'll get the clue at the end. If you want to skip towards the end, if you don't want to listen to me, but it's a pretty good one. So, if you've been watching my YouTube, you'll know that about a month ago I did a Forrest Fenn analysis of the Forrest Fenn box, the John Collins box, an analysis of John Collins' poem in my part one video. And a big thing for me has always been the John Collins has always said, if you don't have, or maybe it was Forrest Fenn that said it, but one of them said, if you don't have the first clue right, everything else is wrong because it's just going to lead you down the wrong path. So, how do you identify what the first clue is and where to start? Well, the first stanza of the poem is, I cruise along a road I know and park my car just off the side, near where I'd searched for heavy loads. It was not there, although I tried. So, my interpretation and analysis of that was that he is starting his poem where he left off on the Forrest Fenn hunt. And thanks to Dave Colonna and the American Treasure podcast, he just did an interview with John Collins Black, and John Collins Black confirmed that that was the implication of the first stanza. So, patting on myself on the back a little bit, I did figure that out right. And then I watched the Treasures Galore YouTube, and on there they talk about the timeline that JCB talks about in the interview with Dave Colonna. And John Collins Black says that basically he returned to the place where he thought that the Forrest Fenn treasure was hid a couple years later. Forrest Fenn treasure was found in 2020, and then he went back several years later, which would have had to have been in the mid 2020s. And why would you go back to the place that you thought the treasure was? Probably to hide the treasure box, because he only had from 2022, when the olive jar was purchased, until 2024, when the book was released, to hide the Forrest Fenn box. The olive jar is the only item that we know is in the Fenn box. So I'm going to walk through all of this again, but I just wanted to put it out there. But I'm going to show you examples and play you some clips. So hang in there.
I did suffer from some confirmation bias along the way. I remember I had been searching one area for quite some time in a lot of detail. I hadn't been able to find anything that looked like a blaze, because in Forrest's poem there was, blaze. It must be some sort of like thing he had made to point you in the right direction. And I came across, it was like the next to last day of this several weeks I had been searching, and I came across this rock on the ground, and it had these carvings that looked very much like drawings, one of the drawings in his book. And I was like, holy crap, like, what is this? Like, I knew these drawings like the back of my hand. So I saw these markings on this rock, and I was like, oh, this can't be a coincidence. And so I started trying to find other markings on the rock, and I kind of convinced myself that there was there was the large markings to get your attention, the smaller markings were kind of directing you where you need to go next. And it's interesting because several years later, I revisited that, like after his treasure had been found. I went back, and I'm pretty sure like they were just naturally formed carvings. The final nod to my experiences looking for Forrest Fenn's treasure. I've written a 24-line poem in the style and stanza of the one Forrest included in his memoir. My poem is inspired by my own experiences searching the Rocky Mountains north of Santa Fe. As you may be curious, I've traveled to all 4 states in Forrest Fenn's treasure search area. But then if you read the poem, yeah, it starts out by saying, I cruise along a road I know and park my car just off the side near where I'd searched for heavy loads. It was not there, although I tried. So the implication is that this is an area that I was in search of his treasure.
I know by this point that this is how y'all are watching the video and you're just absolutely hooked in. All right, so it's time to recap. First, we know that John Collins Black has confirmed that this is a location that he hunted for Fenn's treasure. Second, we know that this was north of Santa Fe. Third, we know he went back several years later after the Fenn treasure had been found to a spot where he thought that the treasure was. Excuse me, the place where he was convinced, his words, not mine, where the treasure was. So, sounds like returning to the scene of the crime to me. I think he was there. My assumption is that he was there to hide the Forrest Fenn box during this short amount of time. You can probably hear my dog snoring in the background. I'm sorry about that, but you shall not wake a sleeping dog. 4. We know the Fenn box was not the last treasure that he hid because he said, I have other treasures left to hide. Now, finally, the big clue reveal. Are you guys ready for this? Dun da da da! It's the big clue reveal. All right, y'all. Near here, it's nestled all in a dream. That looks pretty dreamy to me. I've other treasures left to hide. This isn't the last box. I'll miss the golden bending stream. That looks like a pretty golden stream to me, but I must go back to my ride. So listen well and hear me all. Your efforts will be worth the hide. If you can mark Warm Water's halt right there where the golden bending stream stops, you'll bring it back full weight and dry. So, this is Firefall at Yosemite's Horsetail Fall on El Capitan. And what happens is in mid-February, the way everything aligns with the weather and sun pattern and the Earth's rotation, the light reflects off the waterfall in such a way that it makes it glow like lava. That's pretty wildly impressive. But by the way that the other mountains are, it makes it stop. So there's a place where warm waters halt, right? So the implication being here that if you can get to El Capitan by beginning of March, maybe, you can still catch this natural phenomenon and mark where warm waters halt. We're working our way through the poem. I've said it before, but Forrest Fenn put 9 clues in his poem. I'm thinking John Collins Black did just the same. So we've got a few of them now. Let's keep this rolling and everybody keep sharing your thoughts. I want to say a big thanks to Dave Colonna at American Treasure Podcast and Mike Elder at Treasures Galore. As always, you can subscribe to the channel so you get notifications when I put up new videos. You can like it, you can hate it. Don't care either way. I just had fun making it. So thank you guys for being here, and I'll talk to you next time. Happy hunting.